All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Ridgeline Hunting Podcast. I'm your host, David Crane, and I'm here with my co-host, David Sandana.
What up, what up?
Yeah, and this is the 5th podcast, episode number 5. And we actually hit a milestone, Dave.
What's that?
We have over 100 downloads.
100 downloads. That's a centennial download.
Centennial download. Yep, there we go. Yep.
That's cool.
So, putting that out there. So I wanted to thank all of the listeners and everybody that, is listening to our podcast. We appreciate it very much. And, let's keep this ball rolling. Let's, shoot for 500 and maybe we'll have a giveaway.
Yeah. Give something away. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully it's entertaining and somewhat educational. And at least you have some good fun listening to us talk about stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's all we're here for. We're here to, tell our story, and hopefully everybody enjoys that and our adventures.
Yeah, it's funny looking back at all the times and everything you've done through the years and start, now this whole podcast thing. It's kind of just a new chapter.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, it just gives us a chance to hang out more, so that's always good.
Yeah, they don't ask anymore what's going on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, actually, no. Yeah, the wife was like, "Oh, hey, you doing a podcast tonight?" Yeah.
I made dinner. Family came home at 8. Came out here to the room. You went home, grabbed the memory card, had dinner, came back out here.
Yeah,
that would never happen.
Yeah. So we're definitely having fun, and we just wanted to thank everybody listening. Hopefully, here soon, we might be able to start partnering with some companies and have some more giveaways. But yeah. And I believe how we're going to do that is if you do a 5-star review, we're just going to grab a random 5-star review and you will be the winner of a giveaway. So we're going to possibly start that after maybe 500, maybe 150.
I think we should do it every 100.
Every 100?
Every 100 we could do something.
Perfect. That sounds good.
Now, actually, let's do this. It's turkey season. We've been talking turkeys for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to keep beating this bird up to death. But we're going to give away 2 Phelps turkey calls.
There we go.
Yep, perfect.
Sandana just said it right there.
Got them in hand. We'll ship them out right away.
Yep.
So 200. And let's just make it random. Anybody who reviews at 200.
Okay. So we'll do our first giveaway at 200 then? 200 downloads?
Yep.
Okay. So once we hit 200 downloads and you leave a 5-star review, we are going to give you a Phelps turkey call.
Sounds good.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So there we
out of the
go.
way. Not sponsored by Phelps Game Calls, but we'll hand them out.
Yeah, we'll hand them out. We like Phelps. Jason Phelps is an awesome guy. We've been using his products for a long time, but he is not a sponsor of the podcast, but he is here in the Pacific Northwest, and we definitely support our local businesses. So
yeah, he's pretty local. He's definitely where we've elk hunted most of our times. I mean, he's
we
down
hunt in
there
his backyard.
The Northwest. Out his way, more towards the coast. But I spent some time down there in the PL region and hunting along the coast and all that, and pretty thick, just like everywhere else. But
yeah, you hunt over here on the west side, dude. I just straight up call it the jungle.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no other way to explain it. I have cousins that live in South Carolina, and he's always like, "Man, I got to get over there and hunt elk with you," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Man, we might want to pick a different state for you to come over here and hunt, just because you had never seen woods like these types of woods."
Yeah, right. Why don't you do yourself a favor? Go find a tree in your backyard, start climbing it 1,000 times, and you'll get close to the hills over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to get in some kind of shape. I remember an episode of what is that? Primos had a video where Will Primos came and hunted in Oregon.
Ooh.
And he's like, "We're hunting in Oregon today, folks, blah, blah, blah." He goes on this hunt for like 3 days. He calls the guide a mountain goat and says, "It ain't the biggest bull, but I'm never coming back here." It's like a little 3-point raghorn. He's like, "Well, damn, this shit's tough."
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I think that we have some of the hardest, number one, elk to hunt with the Roosevelt elk, and then the hardest woods to hunt. If you've ever been to the west coast of Oregon or Washington, I believe, it's the same type of timber. If you're watching, what is that? Born and Raised, they hunt the Oregon coast. It's similar to that. And I mean, it is straight up jungle. I mean, the brush is super high. Skunk weed is everywhere. But, it's awesome. It's good hunting.
Yeah, we're not trying to deter anybody. It's a good time every time.
No, I mean, there's only a few spots where you can get Roosevelt elk. I mean, we're in one of those states. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I've had a lot of times where, you start second guessing yourself. You're like, why did I choose to go down here? Why did I choose to go up here? It's just so thick. You turn around, you're basically lost because all the hills intersect. It's not like a single one slope. Usually there's like hills intersecting hills, and the foliage is pretty thick. So you can get turned around.
We're kind of lucky nowadays though with Onyx maps and base maps, kind of getting your whereabouts nowadays.
It's pretty good.
Is good because I got lost in the elk woods one time trying to go eastern turkey hunting. Yeah. And I got turned around, had no idea where the heck I was, and my wife's freaking out. She calls Dave, and Dave calls me, and he's like, "Hey man, what the heck's going on here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just turned around. I don't know where I'm at." And he was like, "Well, don't get lost out there, man. You'll be stuck out there for days." And I was like, "I'm just gonna climb the tallest tree I can find and try to find a road or something." And sure as shit, that's exactly what I did because I was like, "Man, I don't know where the hell I'm at." So
my all-time fallback anytime I'm hunting is I know that I-5 runs north and south where we hunt.
Yeah.
So all I got to do is go west,
Oh, yeah, you're going to hit something.
20, 30 miles maybe. I'm planning on getting out of there.
Yeah, you're going to hit something. But I brought a city boy out there, and he was starting to trip. He's like, "It's going to start getting dark soon, man. I don't know what to do, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "You need to calm down, number one." I was like, "We're not that lost."
Yeah.
I was just like, "We're just down in this gully. We just got to get out of it." Yeah. But, when the ferns are taller than him, because he's a little guy, he started freaking out. He didn't know where we were going.
Karen called me. It's probably like almost 5:30 or 6 at night. So it's close to dark. And she's kind of spooked, so I just started getting my stuff. Randy's like, "What are you doing? They're going to be able to get out." And I was like, "You don't understand, babe. If they don't get out by dark, I know where they're at pretty much. I can go in there and honk the horn, because I had the key and everything, and I can get back in there. And but at the same time, it was, I was thinking like, well, if I got left out there, what? They'd be here to get me, at least look for me right away. But that kind of thing, when you get the phone call, it always kind of makes your hair stand up, and you start questioning like, well, are they where I think they are, and are they going to be able to get out of there? I know you were with a friend of ours, and he wasn't real experienced, and so
I think that was like his first experience actually really getting out in the woods.
Yeah, on the west side, this time of year can be still deadly because of the weather. It's rainy, it's 40 degrees at night, and that is hypothermic weather. So I didn't know anything, but glad you made it out.
Yeah, definitely. It was cool. I was having a good time.
We saw a bear in that same spot where you and he were lost.
Yeah,
when we were a
couple years later.
This little bear, that was amazing. We were leaving at the time, we were driving out, and this bear was on the road, and it literally just ran straight down the road, probably like 40 yards, and ran directly into a little tree. I thought it would have knocked itself out. I was like, that bear's probably knocked out right there on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm. That was the only bear we saw.
Yeah.
Out bear hunting. Oh, shoot. When was that? Last year?
I think it was like 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice sized bear. It had some huge paws on it.
Yeah. Well, what are we going to get into today?
Well, Devin and I went hunting this weekend. Went out turkey hunting. We're going to talk just briefly on that, and then you took Sophia out on Sunday. We weren't able to actually connect this weekend, get both kids out at the same time, but you did take Sophia out, so we'll talk about that. And then, you and I are primarily archery hunters, so we're going to talk, archery setups and stuff like that.
Okay.
So this weekend, Devin and I made it over to the east side of Washington, and hunted the first weekend of the turkey youth hunt. So anybody 16 and under that, is able to hunt can hunt turkeys. And we went over Friday night, got everything set up, and then Saturday morning we were on birds like first thing in the morning. It was intense, and he was having a blast. We got pretty close to a few little flocks of birds, and he could have tagged out on Saturday. I'm not sure if I need to tell him to shoot or whatnot, but he didn't shoot at a bird that was right in front of him. Like, I just showed Dave the video. Like, the bird's right in front of us.
Yeah, directly.
And I just don't know. I wasn't looking at it. I was looking at all these hens. I didn't see this tom. The tom came out last, obviously. It's always what they do. They came out last. All these hens are walking around all over the place. And I'm looking at the hens trying to grow beards on them. And out comes this tom, and he's just staring right at my son. And he's like, "Dad, can I shoot this one that's close to me?" And I'm like, "Which bird are you looking at?" So I had my binos on the hens, and I dropped my binos, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, dude, shoot!" And the bird starts moving as he was getting ready to pull the trigger, and he's like, "Oh, have a shot." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, how long was that bird standing there?" And he was like, "Oh no, 25 seconds." Like, I was like, "Buddy, you got to do a better job, like trying to, find the beard or whatever." But I mean, I'm glad that he didn't shoot, because you want to know what you're shooting at, and he obviously didn't know that it was a tom. So I'm glad they didn't take the shot, because I mean, if he's just going to go out blasting willy-nilly, I mean, he could have shot a hen, and then, then we have some explaining to do. So, yeah.
That's just an experience thing for him,
Yeah.
I don't know how many animals I didn't shoot when I was younger, because I didn't think it was just the perfect thing, like the picture perfect shot. It wasn't broadside enough. I didn't get my rangefinder. Like, I started hunting. I mean, I think there was rangefinders out, and we had one, but it was like, you could have, if it was a camcorder, you could have probably put a VHS tape in the side. It was a huge Tasco rangefinder, and you didn't know if you were actually hitting what you were aiming at, or you didn't know if you could trust it or not. So when we got that, we just, it put more questions in your head. But I mean, I have had a lot of animals that I would easily shoot now that I was like, it's not good enough, for probably 6 seasons where I had shots constantly that I didn't take. And looking back, I'm like, dang, I could have taken any of those animals. And now, knowing what I know, and being a lot older and more mature in the hunting world, then I could easily understand why he didn't shoot.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, this is really only his second season. Last year he was broken, busted collarbone and all this other stuff. And then during turkey season, we actually didn't turkey hunt, which is rare, but my wife had a bunch of vacations lined up, and I'm not going to not go on a family vacation, and spend time with my family. So I didn't make an effort to go turkey hunting last year, which is, something that I normally don't do and probably won't ever do again. I told my wife not to do vacations during turkey season or any other season. So hopefully in the future that never happens again.
I'm looking around, and you say any other season, I'm like, duck decoys, turkey decoys, fishing poles, archery equipment. I'm looking at all this stuff. I'm like, it's always a season. Yeah. Maybe your season for vacation is January to end of January.
Not anymore. I'm going to Arizona.
Oh, a new hobby.
Mule deer hunting.
Yeah.
But so I mean, this is really only his second season, and then his first season we were hunting for 45 minutes. So I mean, this was like his first real deal in turkey hunting, because last season we didn't even hear a gobble. This turkey came in silent, and we blasted it. So I mean, this season he really got to grind, because we're up and over that hill. I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
Up and over that ridge. I don't know how many times. And he was just like, "Dad, is this what it's like turkey hunting?" And I was like, "When you turkey hunt with me, yep, that's how it is. We're not going to sit behind a blind. We're not going to just be sitting down doing nothing. Like, we don't hear birds. We're going on to the next little spot." And I was calling, I'd probably go like 50 to 100 yards and call. And to be honest, I'm going to give it up to the type 1 calls. That thing works.
The Pied Piper of calls.
It is awesome. I had a rope of them coming in, probably about 30 birds, but hailstorm came in and they boogied out.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, that video.
Yeah, and yes, I got everything on all of our encounters with the birds. I got on video, so that will be coming out probably here pretty soon.
Yeah, probably save it till we get one or after regular season.
It's gonna be probably June, mid-June.
Yeah, we should get some video incorporated into the podcast, like online. That'd be kind of cool. We can see as we go.
I think here in the future, I mean, we're just starting out with the podcast, and it's going to evolve. Just give it some time. I mean,
yeah, it'd be fun.
We'll probably see these podcasts up on YouTube and live. Well, not live, but us videoing it.
Yeah. We had to set up right.
But yeah, it was a good experience. I'm gonna have Devin on the podcast, and he's gonna tell. He's gonna break it down how he had it. I mean, he had his opportunities. He did shoot. He missed. But, I mean, with every miss, I think you're going to gain some experience on what went wrong. And he told me right away, like, what happened. So he knew what he did wrong, and he knows how to fix his mistake. So next time he heads out, which will be maybe the last weekend of April, whenever that first part of May, whatever that weekend hits, because we're just kind of weekend warrioring it. But I'm going to opening weekend, which is Easter weekend. I will be missing Easter with the family. I will be out in the turkey woods. So,
okay. Well, I'll be in Florida, hopefully, if we can get a flight. They're having some sort of strike now, and our flight to New Orleans is kind of in question. So, if not, I'll be with you until I'll have to be home. I'll have to be home Sunday. So that's the 17th, I think. So Friday, I'll leave Thursday night. Take off then. Make that plan.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Because I know where you guys are going. We're going to the same spot in July. We're having the 4th over there. Heading over to the condo. Be awesome. I think I'm flying into. I'm not sure. We're gonna do New Orleans and we're gonna drive over, or we're gonna go visit my wife's sister, and then drive over, which is like 6 hours.
Yeah, that's way south.
Atlantic coast.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Soph and I got out this weekend as well. The tricky part for me was for our previous conversations. Talking about the shotgun issue. All I have is 12 gauges. So I was thinking,
yeah,
I'm not going to break her in on that because they're pretty good kicking shotguns for 13-year-old girl and 13-year-old boys for that fact. But I was able to go out to Sportsman's Warehouse. I kind of ran out of time because I had things to do, but I saw this 20 gauge Benelli on the shelf and came back the next day, picked it up.
How much was that?
It's a youth model, Nova, so it was under 500, I think.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It's a pump, and, it has, it's very similar setup to all the Benellis. It has the little middle ribbing bead and then the front sight. So you kind of do a little snowman deal and get your bead on there. And I really like that middle bead because it makes sure you're lined up. It's like an extra point of reference inside your sight picture.
And that's what Devin forgot about.
The middle bead?
When he shot, yeah.
Oh, so he could have been aiming up in the air and
he shot over their heads.
Oh.
And I told him, I was like, hey man, did you line up the middle bead with the front sight? And he was like, I forgot.
I've done worse, dude.
Yeah, I was like, hey man, don't worry about it. And I was like, next time you shoot, you're gonna be splattering them. So
yeah,
we just didn't get on a bird again, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Soph and I, we went out Sunday morning. We had things going on family wise Saturday, and then Sunday we went out, got out there early, and we're hunting a totally different species of turkey than you were hunting in Eastern Washington. we're hunting actual Easterns here, and you're hunting Merriam's over there.
Yeah.
So, they're few and farther between on this side for sure. And then the crazy part about it, where we were, the ferns were pretty low. Like
Because of the time of year.
Yeah, it was a trip because I
They're
usually
just
don't go
like
in
all-
there.
They're just.
They're all laid down. I'm like, man, you could see everything in here.
Oh, that's cool.
It was definitely way different than September when everything's standing up 3.5 feet.
Yeah.
It's probably average of 6 to 8 inches off the ground.
What?
Yeah, it looks like I don't know, like grass instead of ferns.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get over there. I've never really been over there like this early.
there was a lot of sign too, and a bunch of deer running around. Probably seen 13 to 17 deer.
Nice.
Soph got to drive for probably 20 minutes.
Yeah, got her in the back trails.
Yeah, it was funny. This is her second time driving.
Freaking out.
No, it was she wasn't freaking out. The first time, she didn't really realize that the gas pedal, as you pushed it, it was so responsive. So we're just like all of a sudden doing a Brody in the truck, coming around this little corner, and there's like a embankment on both sides. I'm like, don't hit it, don't hit it. And then we go off to the end. There's a T. I'm like, hit the brakes, and she slams on the brakes. I wasn't wearing my seatbelt like an idiot. So I kind of exaggerated to her the jolt, but yeah, it was good. The second time, she drove for probably 20 minutes solid.
Nice.
On the way out, and just kind of putted around 10, 15 and miles per hour, and just watch the road and cutting up with her, and it was a good time.
That's good.
Basically, sat and called, set up a decoy, found a spot, tried to do like a coyote stand.
Mm-hmm.
We'd set up different locations. We'd set up and kind of, I guess, checkerboard the area with setups, and hoping for some sort of gobble, but we didn't.
And I should have dropped some pins because last year, actually the past 2 years, Luke and I would go out and we'd just see turkeys up on an embankment, just chilling. I've completely forgot I should have dropped you some pins.
Yeah.
At least try to go back to those couple spots. And then, what was it? Last year we found some turkey feathers in the area. Did you go hit that area up?
We did. Yeah. We went there, and I even walked that entire road out to see if there was any feathers or any sort of turkey scat, to show Soph like this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any poop on the road. There was no feathers, but there was like 2 scratch spots that were pretty small, like a bird did it. If it was probably the size of a small, like a pie plate.
Oh, really?
Just small.
Yeah. That's kind of what they do.
So something walked through there, scratching the nettles over and the moss. But other than that, we didn't see anything else. Didn't even see another person out there, which is cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was.
Well, we only found one feather over there, and we're like a lot of birds, like a lot. We only found one feather, so maybe at this time of year they don't start
molting.
Yeah, dropping those feathers yet.
Yeah, could
maybe
be.
I don't know. I actually don't know. Someone could school me on that.
Yeah, maybe they're not flying a lot this time of year or something. I don't know.
Well, they're flying.
Oh, did they?
Oh yeah, flying all over the dang place. Crazy B-52s flying over your head.
Yeah, I told Soph, I was like, this is the spot right here. I saw turkey do like a 2-step scoop where he just took off and he glided all the way across that valley to the other hillside, and her jaw dropped. She's like, no way. I was like, yeah, didn't have to flap once.
It's crazy how those birds can fly, man. They're huge.
Yeah.
Like, how are you getting,
a lot of lift.
25 pounds up off the ground like that? But they do.
Give it one flap, and the rest is gravity.
Yeah, well,
amazing amount of lift. Those feathers and wings are huge. So,
well, this bird that Devin shot at, like, straight up didn't glide off a hill. It flew in the air, like, from the ground. I've never really, like, saw that. I've seen them, like, glide off hills and stuff, but never, like, from the ground fly 30 feet in the air. Just poof. Like, holy smokes, that was cool.
Yeah.
I didn't get that on film, though.
How did you get up there, Turkey?
It was fun. So, yeah. So, did Sophia have a good time? Did she have a good time this weekend?
She did. Yeah, we both did. It was good to get out and just sit around, talk, and listen.
Yeah.
See what's going on. Did some walking. Just good bonding time.
Yeah, and that's what Devin and I had for the weekend. It was really fun. It was just a fun weekend. He was actually really bummed out that you guys couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
Well, next time.
Yeah, one of these times. I mean, we have till the end of May. We have some time.
I forgot to tell you.
What?
So I brought the 10 millimeter.
Yeah.
And at the end of our hunt, Sophia wanted to shoot it. So I told her, I was like, baby, just, because she shot pistols the other day. And I was like, you just got to, this is a lot more powerful than what you've shot in the past. So I'm going to give you one round. It's hot and ready to go. Keep it pointed right here at this direction. I want you to lock your elbows out. Keep a good firm grip. Just shoot it like any other gun you shot. And so she aims at this little knot on this tree. Boom. Probably 40 feet away. 2 inches to the right.
That girl can shoot.
10 millimeter. Yeah.
No, well, I mean, what you guys shot a week or two ago? You were shooting the 9 millimeter.
Yeah.
She was putting them on there.
Yeah, first timer.
Dang, girl.
Well, she probably put 300 rounds in there with the 22 pistol, and she wanted to shoot the 9, and I warned her again. It's a lot more recoil than the 22, and so we were doing single shots, single round in the chamber, ready to go, and no magazine. So when she shot, it was over. We'd load another one, and she would aim and shoot. So it was a good experience.
That's cool.
Yeah, just keep it simple.
Yeah,
let her
definitely
get familiar with it, but she enjoys that stuff. But I was surprised that's actually the second time that gun got shot.
The 10 mil?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's surprising. I asked her, it doesn't recoil like you think it would. They're like, I can't remember if they're 220 grain Grizzly, some sort of custom round, ammo maker, because the rounds are harder to get now.
Yeah, you just grabbed what was available.
Well, they're hard cast too, but the gun recoil is nice, and she said, it wasn't that bad, not as bad as the 9 millimeter. I was like, what the heck?
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe the weight.
Yeah, the weight helps out a lot.
Yeah.
Would have been good. So, yeah, we had a great time. Came back. She got to see where we camp. Showed her all the areas where we hunt, and kept the eye out for elk. And yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. That's a good weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. Yep.
All right. Well, now we're gonna kind of get out of the turkey talk here for a while. We will have the Type 1 Calls owner on here in a couple of weeks. He's actually going to be out in the field. He's going to be in one of the Carolinas. I don't know if he's in North Carolina or South Carolina turkey hunting.
Okay.
But we'll get him on the phone. I'll have to double check what time works for him, but yeah, he said he wanted to do it in the field.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, authentic.
Let's do it.
Hopefully we get it. If he gets one on the air, that'd be badass.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure he'll be not hunting when he takes the call, but
well, you never know. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah,
I've seen weirder things happen.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, we are back from our quick little break. Drinking some liquid Band-Aid here, some scotch. Dave calls it the liquid Band-Aid. It tastes like a Band-Aid.
It's weird. It's really weird because I never drink scotch, and it's not. I don't even have a liquor cabinet that has a variety of alcohols or anything like that. But
we are not like liquor connoisseurs. So,
a friend of mine, he says, "What do you like to drink?" I was like, I really don't like to drink. So he goes, "Well, I'm going to get you a Christmas present or something." He's like a business acquaintance, and he gives me this bottle of Johnny Walker, and and there's a couple little plug things that give me with it. I don't know what they're for, but anyhow, I got this scotch, and I was like, man, I don't even know what this is. So people apparently drink this stuff. So to me, it smells like a Band-Aid. It tastes like a Band-Aid. I'm like, why do you drink this stuff?
It does. I don't know, like those old plastic Band-Aids that you'd have as a kid when you open up that thing and you get that smell. That's exactly what it smells and tastes like.
So basically, we're trying to be fancy. It's not.
Yeah, we're churching it up a bit. But anyways, we are going to dive into archery because that's basically what we do. I mean, the only other time that we grab the rifles is coyote hunting and or bear hunting. Yeah, it's really the only time that we have the rifles out. So, yeah, we're going to talk archery right now. So, Dave, what got you into shooting archery?
Archery for me was something that started, a couple friends of mine. One of us had a bow, and it was just kind of a fun little backyard deal. We'd fling arrows at this 2-inch foam square that had little metal legs, on the sides that would go down, kind of like an A-frame or a TP. It would look like.
Mm-hmm.
So we just shot this little arrow, this little bow and arrow at this target, and it didn't have any sights on it. It was mainly plastic, and it had some sort of bus cable, little weird deal. It's probably like a 7 to 8 pound draw, just a toy, really. And then later on, friends of ours, they started working at the Sportsman's Club, and they had like a flat range, and so we would go there and shoot skeet because we would get like discounted round fees because they worked there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw these people shooting archery, and back in the day, this is in the 90s. I mean, this is not ancient times by any means, but back then, locally, we had a family, the Sebastian family. They would actually manufacture their own bows, and it was like cutting edge manufacturing, because there wasn't a bunch of huge bow manufacturers that made all this fancy stuff. I mean, you had your bear bows, and Hoyt was relatively new. What was another big line? They had PSE back then. All this stuff predates me, but the bows weren't really complicated. It was kind of, they were still cumbersome enough to where there was no real advancement. But these people, they would make their own bows, and they were custom. They'd make it just for you. So it was pretty cool to see, have a local guy making archery equipment, and so they were out there shooting, and it was just fascinating because they were faster than anybody's bows on the market that were for sale, and they made them pretty much in their garage. It was kind of a trip. Yeah, they had them. They were making them in their house, and people would use them. I mean, they were awesome, accurate bows, and so we just started getting involved there. I bought a used bow from one of their clients that had them make a bow, and that was it was a Golden Circle, old school. That Golden Circle, and they had put some, I can't remember if it was Hoyt limbs on it or Matthews limbs, but anyhow, there was some sort of interchangeability there back, then. So that was my first bow. Got it for $100, which was like an arm and a leg for a poor kid. And so that's how I got into it. But got that bow, started shooting, and actually dry fired it and kind of ruined the bow.
Oh no.
That was kind of the thing, and so that bow got ruined. Just stupid kid thing, trying to pull it back, and half draw, string went and totally derailed, and limb got cracked. So I brought that back in to a friend of mine, and he ended up actually fixing it. Put some new cams on it, some random cams. I mean, it was just like,
is this Frankenstein bow?
It was Frankenbow after that. Yep. And I killed my first deer with that bow.
Oh, awesome.
And probably my next 3 or 4 had a lot of opportunities on elk with that bow. Never shot. I had one cow in Eastern Washington at like 22 yards. But right before I went, I had the guy that fixed it for me. He has a archery shop here called Great Northwest. I had him look at it because I was thinking about getting a new bow, and I didn't have the money at the time. I think I was like 19 or 20 years old, maybe. I said, "Hey, can you take a look at this bow? Because I'm getting ready to head east, and I want to make sure everything's good. Wax a string, change a string, whatever." And he goes, "Oh, the string looks fine, but you got this crack in the limb here. I probably wouldn't shoot that." And I was
no.
I was like, "Oh shoot!" But I'm leaving in tomorrow, So I went with the bow, and I was thinking as I was out there, I seen this elk came running down the hill. It was a cow, and she stopped about 22 yards right in front of me, maybe broadside as you can get. I mean, even put her front leg forward for me. Everything was perfect.
Picture perfect.
Oh, it was perfect. I got ready to draw back, and I pictured that limb breaking and thumping me in the head.
Oh man!
And I didn't shoot. I didn't even draw it back. I was like, no, I can't do it. I was a pretty much, one of those experienced things. So the crazy thing about it is I sold that bow off. Told the person they wanted a cheap bow, $50, and has a crack in the limb here. Showed them the crack. And they're like, "Oh, that's fine." They still shoot it to this day, 20 years after that elk.
Really?
Yeah, they're still shooting it 20 years later.
Dang.
That sucks, right? So every time I talk to him, he's a friend of mine. He tells me he's still shooting that bow. Man, you gotta be kidding me.
Crazy.
So that's how I got started. Just friends got me into it. I was lucky to be around a lot of people that were into it. And we had a range access really close. And so, aside from knowing that there was like this, I guess the archery underworld that, it's kind of, all these weekend tournaments that we were going to, as we grew up here. But in the beginning, I mean, I didn't know any of that stuff existed. But when I found out about the 3D shoots, then things kind of turned on. The light bulb turned on. I started really focusing in on archery.
Yeah, it's weird how, even growing up with the ranges fairly close to the neighborhood, I had no idea either. I had no clue that any of those shoots were going on, and they're super fun. So if you are into archery or want to get into archery, check out some local places and ask them about 3D shoots because they're a lot of fun.
You probably could get on in any state. You probably can just look up, like, just type in now. You can go to Google and type in archery ranges near me, or you can look up your state archery association. Most states probably have some sort of archery association. They would have posted where if they're going to have like tournament shoots or 3D shoots, they'll probably post those. I know field target archery is a big thing. Now they have a bunch of sanctioned events. Vegas, Lancaster. I mean, it's pretty well televised now.
Yeah, and
it's still kind of intimidating for people that haven't been involved in archery, but it gets your heart going when you're looking at that shot and it counts. You're like, oh man. When the scores are running up and it's tight competition, you get quite the adrenaline rush and feel the pressure. So, very good practice for regular hunting season. Also, just performing under pressure, and keeping your form and all that stuff that you learn. But yeah, man, it was a passion of mine for a long time. Still is. I don't do the shoots anymore just because of time and having a business and family and everything we're trying to fit in at every nook and cranny.
Yeah, it gets rough, especially when there's like 2-day shoots and you're like, man, I really could be out scouting right now, or I don't know. There's always something, but it is good to get out and do those shoots every once in a while. I mean, you and I for a handful of years, we were doing all of them. Yeah, so
every weekend.
Yeah.
And before that, I mean, before I was even married, I think I was shooting 6 days a week for hours. It was absolutely absurd.
Yeah, I was doing the same.
Full addiction.
I was doing the same thing when I first got into archery, just because my oldest son at the time was in daycare, and it was right next to my wife's work, and I would get off early, and she would just pick him up from daycare because it was like a block down the street, and then they would come home, but they weren't home till like 5:30 to 6 o'clock. I was off at 2. So every single day I was at the archery range until I was like, oh, almost time for the wife to get home. Time to go. So, 4 or 5 hours a day just shooting my bow. You get pretty good.
Yeah, where did you live when which house was that in?
The condo's like right across the street from the archery range.
I kind of remember that house, but I don't know why I can't picture it in my head.
Yeah. Well, we moved quite a bit in the past 10 years. So
yeah, man, it's nice when it's close to you, and it makes it easier to get involved and do it.
Yeah.
And now we have indoor archery ranges popping up.
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah,
we were thinking about one 5 years ago.
Right after the recession, me and Luke, we were like, dude, we're gonna, because first of all, commercial real estate, the warehouse space leasing was totally different than it is now, and this might be over the top, but we were looking at commercial warehouse space. And so that stuff, it was renting for like 49 cents or 54 cents a square foot plus your triple net. And so you're talking about now, I think they're like $1.70 or 80 a square foot.
Whoa.
For warehouse space. So we were looking at that. We're like, oh yeah, we're going to get a warehouse. We're going to buy this 3D archery system. We're going to have AccuBow, 3D sensors and walkthrough type thing where you have the hunt scenario and, all that cool stuff. And it was just like taking a gamble on another thing. and how active do you want to be in being there? Thinking about who we would hire to be there during the day and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a whole nother thing to deal with, and so we ended up not doing it. But we just shoot at other people's place, kind of like a boat. Best boat to have is someone else's boat.
Or access to that boat.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, actually, so for me, getting into archery, to be honest, it was you, got me into archery. So it was, I had just shot my very first deer in October, and you still had a deer tag for late season archery, and you're like, hey man, you want to go on a hunt with me, archery? And I was like, yeah, let's go. We head out to, I'm not going to say where, but we went out to the spot with a couple other guys, Sean Elza, and everybody's out there shooting their bows. And I was like, man, this looks like a lot of fun, just because you're up close and personal and everybody's tagging out. And I'm just like, whoa, what the heck's going on? Like, this is awesome. So actually, I want to say like that next week, I actually bought just a cheap bow at our archery range. Actually, our buddy Rick, old man Rick, he had this old cheap bow. I don't even know what it was. It was a
Pearson or something.
Parker.
Yeah, Parker.
Parker. Is that what it was? And that was my first bow that got me into archery. It wasn't even set up for me. I think it was set up at like 27.5 inches.
Yeah.
I shot that for
was
like...
it short? What do you shoot?
I'm 29. So,
oh, man.
Yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, just bend your elbow. Just bend your elbow. You're good.
Front arm. You're fine.
Yeah, you're good. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. So I actually took it out and got it all set up for me. And yeah, that was like my first bow. I never hunted with that bow. I never did a 3D shoot with that bow, but it got me on the archery range. And then, I ended up going with a Bowtech after that. And then did a bunch of 3D shoots with that one. And then actually right before the 2012 archery season, I got rid of that bow because it was the Bowtech 350 Destroyer. And
I remember that bow.
It was extremely hard for me to let an arrow down without flinging it. And if I ever had to let an arrow down, whatever I was letting that arrow down on would peace out because it looked like a freight train with me trying. It was terrible. Yeah, when I was letting down, the arrows flinging all over the place, just all the noise, just blink. Yeah, just because it was a hard bow to freaking manage.
An extreme cam with a high let off.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was that, and I mean, it wasn't set up right for me. It wasn't the right bow for me. Fast as anything though, because I mean, I think my 20-yard pin would go to like 42 yards. So when people like had 3D shoots, we go walking away from it. Man, what'd you shoot that at? I'm like, I don't know. I just used these couple pins here and just flung an arrow. And they're like, dude, you just X that thing. Like, how do you not know? Like, because all the pins are going to hit the same spot. It doesn't matter. From 20 to 60, all the pins are going to hit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Either it's going to be a 10X or a 10.
I'm either 1 inch lower or I'm right in there.
Yeah. I mean, it was so fast. I mean, I was shooting a hunting grain arrow. I think I had it at like 65 pounds, but I had like a 450 grain arrow, which was well within the hunting weights. Yeah. But I mean, it was still going 310 feet per second. Like it was, it was cooking.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it didn't matter. But anyways, got rid of that bow. And then, I actually bought a bow from our friend Ryan. And I got a Recluse. It's made by Athens Archery. And I actually ended up getting onto their pro staff. Actually at the end of 2012, which was on accident. It wasn't even, I think I shot my very first mule deer buck that year and did a few 3D shoots, and I ended up podium on a few of those shoots, and Athens actually contacted me through Ryan and asked me to be a part of their pro staff. So I shot with them all the way until like 2019, which is still the bow that I have today. is the Athens bow, but since 2019, I haven't been a part of their staff, but they do have really nice bows.
Yeah.
I like them a lot.
Yeah, that first mule deer, that was your first deer with a bow?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So my
Yeah, that
second deer ever, but my first one with a bow.
Yeah, that was a nice one. That was a good one. Yeah, I remember that one like yesterday.
That was a really awesome hunt, and maybe we'll do a podcast on that because it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, the growing up on the west side and hunting on the west side, primarily 97% of my hunts, they're going to be on the west side throughout my life so far. And I always enjoy getting over to a new place with different terrain because I feel like I've been so well equipped hunting over here in the thick stuff and just focusing on stalking and moving quietly and all the things that are combating you in here. Never mind just seeing the animal when they're 25 feet away, but being able to get a shot through a lot of the things that are here and working on patience and stuff. I feel like when I go somewhere else, I feel like I almost have an advantage I don't know why. It just feels like because I can see so much better, and because I know I'm patient. I feel like I got some sort of built-in. Not that I actually do, but it feels like that because
I completely understand that because I feel the same exact way.
Mhm.
It's almost as if I'm not saying that it's easier, but it almost seems that way.
Like I can see you now.
Oh, you're gonna die. Like I know exactly where I'm gonna go, and I kind of know where you're going, and I'm gonna meet you there.
Yeah, hunting the terrain, using the terrain in small things.
Yeah.
I killed quite a few animals in sagebrush, and it was just I love hunting in sagebrush because it's so much fun because you can see them. You can figure out your plan. The wind is easy to figure. You may not get the wind right, even though but at least you'll know which way the wind's going. It's not like in the timber swirling and crazy. And you can walk around a hill, hide behind some brush. The wind's right, the animal's coming your way. Just wait it out, and hopefully if they come your way, you got the drop.
Yeah.
That's what I love about spot and stock, and doing that over here is extremely difficult. But I feel like it's just something about it somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's awesome, really.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's hunted over here in Washington State on the west side knows what we're talking about. Because, I mean, you can come around the corner and now you have a deer at 10 feet. When over on the east side, you're going to see that deer from 200 yards away and have a game plan like already set up. Like, oh, I'm going to hit this little drainage right here. That's going to give me, 200 more yards. I'm going to pop up at like 15 yards. No problem. Here, you turn around the corner and you're like, oh, there's a deer right there.
Yeah. I remember
15 feet.
I remember
Now, sometimes you don't have a game plan to get your bow up and shoot. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
when I first started using the expandable broadheads was in the east side.
Oh, man.
We had our extremely windy hunt we went on over there.
Yeah, and that was the year before I started using expandables because of that
wind drift.
Yep, that same exact thing.
I mean, you probably missed the whole deer by 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah. So I stalk up to this massive mule deer, biggest mule deer I've had a chance to shoot at in my life, and I crawl up to about 35 yards, and that's as far as I could go because I had two other deer 5 feet from me on the other side of a tree. So I'm using the tree kind of blinding out these other two deer, and they see me because I see something move back behind this tree, and they're looking at me. They don't really know what the heck's going on because I'm broken up a little bit. Come to full draw, fire, and I missed this buck by quite a bit and almost take out a doe standing next to him facing the other opposite way, and the arrow goes like right underneath her jaw. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I almost just knocked this doe's jaw off, and I would have,
yeah,
it would have made me sick.
Bad scenario.
Yeah. But anyways, Dave has the same shot on the opposite hill and freaking just drills a dandy.
Well, the year before that is when I switched to the expandables because I noticed I was having a problem with my arrow flight. It seemed like I was using another like a monolithic broadhead, and so it was like one piece, all metal, and it was catching a lot of air. So it would send the arrow kind of in this weird, almost like it was trying to catch up to itself. Like the fletchings weren't enough. I tried going to 4 fletching, like 4-inch 4 fletch helical fletchings on my arrows to try to straighten that out. And when we'd get in those high wind situations, it wouldn't correct it.
It'd like plane out.
Yeah, it wouldn't plane it out. I mean, it would have to, the broadhead would still be guiding the arrow.
Control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. So I figured I'd try out these Rage broadheads and tried them out, and that sucker flew good. Even in pretty good wind. That's why I decided at that point. I was like, well, I'm just going to use these from now on because I can't control the wind. I mean, I'm going to shoot it, and if I have a shot, but I mean, not 100 mile an hour or anything, but in 30 mile an hour winds, which isn't very common. If you can hold your bow steady,
it happens though.
You could get a shot.
Yeah.
And we're over there in the it's like high plateau on the Columbia, just off the Columbia Gorge, sagebrush and hills, and we can get tucked into these little coulee type things, and there's very little wind. But if you're on top, it's pretty dang windy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have windmills right above us. They're there for a reason.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've hunted underneath these giant windmills. We've had some pretty interesting hunts, especially on the east side. They've been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I started using the broadhead, the expandables at that time, and they seem to be pretty good. Aside from, when I come back to the west, they can get hung up on things if you're doing like a spot and stalk. And I'm talking about what I call still hunting, where we're walk a little bit, stand still for a little bit, walk for a little bit. So we're just changing our location and listening and watching for animal movement. We're not really traipsing along too fast.
Yeah.
But here you have, we're talking about the ferns. They're 3.5 to 4 feet tall. You got devil's club. You got all sorts of sticker bushes and vine maples, wild strawberry.
Yeah.
Everything is hanging around trying to grab that broadhead. When they get tripped, you got to reset your broadhead. Reconnect it to where it's not expanded halfway. And
yeah, I haven't had that problem, but it happens. I've seen it happen. And that same year, I was looking into doing expandables. So I call up a good friend of ours, Kirk, like I always do when I have a question about something, because he's always usually the first one that uses something. I don't know why, but he always is.
I was like,
hey, Kirk, what do you know about these expandable broadheads, man? And he was like, get the swackers. Get them. He was like, I've killed everything with them. And I was like, all right. So I went and bought the swackers, and the swackers have been swacking ever since.
Well, he took that turkey with that expandable. It was like a ninja sword going through there.
Dude, they're awesome. I know you use the Rages. I love the swackers, and for everybody that says, you'll never use one on an elk, I shot my bull elk with one, and it went 15 feet and tumbled down the side of a hill. So
yeah, they get awesome penetration.
Yeah, my arrow disappeared. It disappeared in them.
I think like with any new thing, there's this discovery period where they're figuring out what didn't work so well. So that's like the whole industry. With expandables, they're like, well, this metal isn't the best for taking impacts at high speed. It'll shatter or they break or something. So they use a different metal. They change up the blade, the metallurgy of the blades, and they'll use something different.
That's the thing about a lot of these companies is that they're always evolving. That's why we see new bows all the time.
Yep.
That's why we see new broadheads, every year. I mean, everybody is evolving, and they're not just getting stuck. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of broadheads out there that have not changed, and they're still just as good as they were when they came out.
Well, Thunderhead 100s, man.
Yeah, that's what I shot that mule deer with.
Yeah, those are good. Thunderhead. I killed my first elk with Thunderhead 100 and probably about 10 or 12 deer. And I got on the east side and stuff and had some issues with.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that haven't changed. I mean, the slick tricks, they haven't really changed at all. I mean, they have a lot of, they have a line of broadheads, but they still have the old trusty 4-blade one. I mean, things gnarly.
We call that one the paper puncher. And then it just puts like a hole right in them. I mean,
yeah, it's gnarly. But I think the expandables, I don't know, man. I think they're the way to go. 'Cause
Yeah,
really,
definitely.
there's no arrow tuning. It's going to shoot exactly like your field tip.
Pretty dang close.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't had a problem.
tuning my bow was another thing. Every year you're adjusting stuff and just getting your broadheads tuned into your bow, and I really enjoyed not having to do that. Just verify it shooting.
Yeah.
And now it's like it doesn't take near as long at the range to get the broadheads dialed in, and they have these little practice tip, expandable, so you don't have to shoot the real one. And so it takes maybe 20 minutes, maybe less. Just go down there and verify the different distances it's flying right, and it's good. But I usually don't have to make any adjustments at all.
Neither. I actually haven't had to yet. And I mean, it's shooting dead nuts.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them. I swear by them. I've been using them now for, probably going on 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, probably at least that
17 or 18. I don't remember. Right when they became legal in Washington State, I was the next year after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, it was 18 because I shot my cow in 17 with the QAD Exodus, which was a gnarly broadhead as well. But yeah, I like the Swackers. Swacker is the way to go for me, and they have probably 15 different broadheads.
Speaking of expandables, man, you remember those arrows you had that had like an expandable, it had like a fixed blade tip and an expandable like 6 or 8 inches down the shaft?
Yeah. What the heck was that? I think I gave them to you.
You did.
Do you have them still?
No, I don't. Here's what happened. So a buddy of mine.
So I won those on Instagram.
I wish I remember the name of those. See if you
can
look them up while I tell this story.
Oh my gosh,
that's awesome. So these arrows, they had a 4-blade. It looked like a almost like a slick trick on the tip, like a 1-inch 4-blade, and then 6 or 7 inches down the shaft, it had 2 bleeders that were what were they? They were expandable, but they kind of retracted from the front and swung backward, and then they locked in against the shaft of the arrow. And
they're called like slayers or slashers or hold on, I'm looking it
up. Anyhow, a friend of mine, he bought some property over in I think it was Eniat area, and he could hunt deer over there with the archery equipment. And so he just spent all his money on this land and whatnot. He was trying to build a cabin, and he didn't have any broadheads, and he called me up to see if I had some extras. Well, I said, well, I got this 6 arrows right here. That's arrows with broadheads. You can have them. Give him a shot, see what you think. So I gave them to him, but he went over and whacked a big muley with it, man.
Really?
Yeah, Calpedo, man, freaking whacked it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's where those went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I
when I showed him to him, he was like, "What the hell is this?" I was like, "It looks deadly weird to me."
It was I can't find them. I'm gonna try to Google them. Yeah, I
think they were called slashers.
I think so, but. Yeah, they're a new company. I saw them on Instagram or whatever, and they're like having a giveaway, and yeah, I won some arrows. It was crazy, but I was looking at them and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to use these, just because to be honest with you, I'm a pro staff for Black Eagle Arrows, and I've been shooting those arrows since like 2013, and I love those arrows. Black Eagle Arrows, man. Check them out, blackeaglearrows.com.
Looking at it now, it's called slasharrows.com. And the slash arrows, now look at that, Dave. They have an insert that you put it actually into an arrow shaft. So you would cut your arrows down shorter to put that in, it seems like. So the insert, because they had it in the carbon fiber before.
Yeah.
So now it's like a super long ferrule. It looks like it has like a 6-inch ferrule. You can put any broadhead or field tip on there that you want, and then the expandables actually in the ferrule shaft. So they've changed their design a bit, but the first ones were actually in the carbon fiber, like they had to cut the lines in there, and so
you know what it was probably doing is that's where the arrow was breaking.
Yeah, they probably had some issue with it.
Yeah, because they had to put a hole through the carbon to get the blades in there. And I guarantee that the arrow kept on breaking at that point.
Yeah.
Because you're, messing with the construction of the arrow.
Yeah, it could have been. I never shot one of those older models, but those did take an animal.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool that they got some use out of them because I wasn't gonna use them.
Yeah. Well,
I just thought they were cool. I was
just
like, oh, I'm just gonna do this giveaway, and I won. I was like, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they probably stuck out a little bit past his rest. We try not to have our arrows sticking out too far past the rest.
Oh yeah, they're probably out 6 inches.
Yeah. So it was probably heavy for his bow, but it got there.
That's cool. That's awesome. So Dave, since we're on archery, what are you shooting?
Currently, I have a Hoyt, or sorry, I had so many different bows. It's a Matthews, and it shoots really good. I mean, I've shot several Matthews. I had a Z7 I liked, and that bow, it was an original, and I had that bow for quite a long time.
Long time, yeah.
And that, I can't remember, it wasn't a compact. It was 30 inches.
I think it was 12 pounds.
Probably, I think it was on the heavy side, especially once you start packing, 460 grain arrows in there and, all that stuff. And so, yeah, so I had that bow for a long time. And then I switched back to my old favorite, the Hoyts. I had a Hoyt, what they call Ultra Tech. That was a good bow. And I shot pretty much most of my tournaments with Ultra Tech. And then I bought the Matthews, went to that. Then I went to the Carbon Hoyt, and that was really good. I like that bow a lot. It just, the grip was a little bit off from what I was used to, and I never could get quite used to that grip. So then I went back to the Matthews, and
then that's when you started kicking my butt again in 3D shoots.
No, the Matthews is, I like the grip. For me, it just feels good in my hand, and maybe because I have like meaty palms from my construction work or something. But it just feeling that nice solid grip with a flat back in there, flatter. When I say more flat back, I guess it just sat better in my hand, and I could hold it steadier, and they were smooth to draw, and they shot well. And so yeah, I'm back in the Matthews now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They're good bows. I was looking at one this year, but I didn't pull the trigger on it. I actually bought all this podcasting stuff instead of a new bow, so that's where I am with that. So I'm shooting currently still an Athens bow, the Ridge 32. Awesome bow, 70 pounds, draws back like you're shooting 58 pounds. It's extremely easy to draw. But this year at our little sportsman show that we had here in Puyallup, I actually went out and shot all the bows from Archery World. They're fairly new archery shop in Lacey. That's where our friend Ryan went to. He was actually pretty local. He was my archery tech for a long time. Still is. I just haven't made it out to him yet. The shop's not super close. But I shot every bow that they had that I was interested in. Shot the Bowtech, shot a Hoyt, shot a PSE, the carbon PSE bow. I believe it was like the Knocked Outdoors.
Knock On.
Yeah.
Is that a Hoyt? Knock On is Hoyt or?
No, they did a PSE.
Oh, okay.
So I think they've done a couple different manufacturers. I think they've done like a little thing for them.
Like what they call it, a collab.
Yeah. Shot that. Dude, it was actually super nice. Those PSE bows are nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. When I switched back to Matthews, I bought the Vertex, and it shoots so good, and I love the way it draws, and there's a little history behind, for a long time people started talking about draw cycle and all this other stuff, and to me, what I judge my archery equipment by is can I draw this if I'm in any position hunting?
Yeah,
am I going to be able to draw smoothly
on my knees?
Yeah, because I had a bow that I couldn't, and I couldn't get fully drawn in a position, and it was just, I missed a shot on a nice bull elk.
Oof.
I don't know. I thought I was all the way drawn back, but apparently I wasn't. And then the the rest wasn't fully extended. It wasn't lifted all the way.
All the way up.
Yeah, so it missed its mark widely, and so I wanted something smoother, and I went back to the Matthews, and so the Vertex has been good. But I know if I pick up another one of these new bows, I think the Vertex is probably 4 years old or 5 years old now, and they have newer white models, and I don't want to shoot any of them because I'm going to have to drop $1,600.
Yeah, that's the thing. Bows are not, around that for high end. They're not around that 800 or 900 mark. High end now is like $1,800 just for the bow.
And I could probably sell the Vertex and get some.
Yeah, you can recoup something.
Yeah, but it shoots so good. I'm not going to be able to outperform the equipment. I also judge myself. Is the equipment I'm using am I able to outperform the equipment that I'm currently using or not?
No, that's like I dirt bike ride and I'll never be able to get to the full potential of a 450, but I have one.
Yeah, but there's probably better models, and
and I will be probably getting one of those soon because electric start is way better than a Kickstarter, and I have a bum right leg, so yeah, that's coming down the pipe.
Devin needs one.
I don't think he needs a 450, but we might be able to make that work.
Well, Mama doesn't ask any questions if you say Devin needs it, so we know that trick.
Yeah. So next year I think I'm gonna upgrade. Don't know yet because got my eyes on a rifle as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next year. But this year, yeah, got the Athens. Been rocking that one now for a couple years, and I just love the draw cycle. And I think the only thing that I have a gripe on is that the
don't say the grip gets cold.
The grip is freezing freaking cold. If I was like hunting down south, and it's just hot all the time, I probably wouldn't be complaining. But when you hunt late season and it's 32 degrees and your bow is actually 15 degrees and it's like sticking to your gloves, it sucks.
I think a big thing about that is,
I mean, you've told me a million times I can just get some tennis tape, and put that on there, but then that's going to change the grip. And like, I'm already used to how the grip feels. So then I have to try to adjust to this new grip. So I'd rather just ixnay that.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to do
something that's not going to.
You got a new bow, you got a new grip. You put tennis tape, you got a new grip. But with the cold, how we hunt is we always have the bow in our hand for one.
Yeah.
Not like a tree stand hunter where the bow's hanging up on a hook and then you grab it for 2 seconds or whatever and you hold it in your hand and you take the shot and you put the bow down. I mean, we're walking all day, spot and stock, marching through the woods with the bow in your hand all day. So it can get cold. Also gloves, I don't wear gloves when I hunt. I just don't do it. For one, I don't like them to be around my release, because it doesn't let my release sit properly in my hand how I'm used to at the range. And I've shot so much at the range. I'd rather have my hand be a little uncomfortable than to miss a shot because I didn't get quite where I need to be. I feel like everything needs to feel the same, and then at that point takes a lot of guessing work out of what we're doing. But
I know what I get into. I usually go to the range with my gloves on.
That's right.
Number one, I have like no meat on my body. So when the cold hits, it's like in my bone marrow. Like I'm freezing everywhere. So yeah, I got the gloves on. I got the big old coat on. It could be 90 degrees outside and I'm practicing at the range all geared up just because I know what I'm getting into. Because those mornings are cold for me.
Didn't they have something like that on that Simpsons episode?
What?
What? like Homer Simpson, he had won this thing and he got to pick any quarterback to throw the football through the hole for like $1 million, and I think he picked Joe Montana, and Joe Montana just walks down there in this like Letterman's jacket and throws the ball and misses like a foot, and he punches him.
What? Like, I never saw that one.
He's like, you didn't even take your jacket off. He goes, well, I've been practicing up there in the north where it's really cold, so I figured I'd come down here and throw it the same for consistency.
That's pretty funny.
That always sticks in my head too. Like that lesson from The Simpsons, you gotta practice exactly how you want to perform.
Yeah, and I actually do that a lot. So don't get me wrong, I will show up and during the summertime in shorts and freaking tank top. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, I will put on my full gear and hit the range. I'm talking pack, boots, full get up. And people are looking at me funny,
Like a shirt on says "Mind your business."
Maybe.
Mind your business.
But for a lot of guys that go out there and see me out on the archery range, they know what I'm doing. But it's usually like, the guys at the skeet range or, the rifle guys getting ready. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? And I'm getting ready to go kill some stuff. So I need to have my gear on and ready to go.
You gotta know how it feels.
Yeah.
When you put the trigger in your finger or for the release, and you want to make sure you have that good feel, and it's always the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, consistency. It's great.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, we covered quite a bit of topics here. Hopefully it's useful and people enjoyed what we're talking about. And,
yeah, definitely. But yeah, we're going to call it a night. We want to thank everybody again for listening. We did hit the milestone, so if you didn't get that in the very first part of it, we do have over 100 downloads. And coming up here soon, once we hit 200 downloads, we are going to be giving away some Phelps game calls, some turkey game calls, since we are talking about turkey. And we will be talking about that here again here soon, because we're going to have my son Devin on the podcast, and then the owner of Type 1 Calls. But yeah, Dave actually just grabbed a whole bunch of different Phelps calls. So Dave, go ahead. What do you got here?
We're gonna have to change it. We're gonna have to change it from a turkey call, since turkey season's kind of it'll probably be wrapped up by the time we do this. I'm gonna change it to elk calls.
Well, you know what? That sounds great.
So I have Phelps, the Amp Black, got the Amp White, Amp Gray, and then the Signature Series Jason Phelps call. Now, these are these are brand new in the package.
Yeah, we haven't got any spittle on them.
These are the original Phelps reed calls, and we'll even throw in one cow call, an acrylic cow call. So I have an acrylic cow call, and actually there's even an acrylic duck call. So you can make your choice. You can either have acrylic elk call, duck call, or reed pack. So we'll do that.
You're going to give away the whole pack?
No. We'll give away. Let's pick a couple people. Let's do 3. We'll do 3. So they can make the choice.
After the 200 downloads?
200 downloads. Any review that you want to leave. We have acrylic cow call, 2 reeds for second and third choice. So we're gonna draw 3. First one's getting the acrylic cow call. Second and third's gonna get 2-pack of Phelps reed calls.
Dang. All right. Well, you heard it right there.
$150 value.
Yeah. We're going to give away, after our 200th download, we're going to give away basically some Phelps calls. So, yeah, get out there, leave a review, tell your friends and family about the podcast if they like hunting and listening to people talk about the outdoors. We're also going to be talking about fishing here soon. So, yeah, we have a lot coming up, and thank you for listening. And yeah,
have a good night.
This is going to be awesome. We're going to be starting to give away some things. So, yeah, everyone have a good night, and thank you for listening.